Hello, everyone. Welcome to this feed on my 5 favorite websites, aka 6 favorite websites. The number is growing. And I wanted to start with research. You're giving a talk on breast cancer and you do a search, breast cancer and resveratrol. Are you ever frustrated that you can't get papers because they're not open access? And here we do have an open access paper because it says free PMC article, so we can access that one. There's a bunch of good ones here that we can't read because they're not open access. So one of my favorite websites that a lot of people don't know about, I just found out about it in the last year or two, is SciHub, which you may have mixed feelings about. It is a piracy site. SciHub is dedicated to getting medical literature available for everyone. There's a lot of lawsuits against it, actually, but for somebody who is a researcher, a clinician wanting to access research and literature, it does provide you that opportunity. So the way to use it, if you Google SciHub, it'll come up as the first hit. And there it is. When you find the article that you don't have access to, you click on it, you can read the abstract, but it's a full text link, is not open access. You can copy the DOI number and then go back to SciHub and paste that in here. I'm gonna delete where it says DOI and just have the DOI number there. And then I click open. It brings me to Library Genesis. I click on the article. And for download, I click SciHub. And there I have the full text manuscript, which I can then download with the download button here. Or I can just read it online. So this is a way to get access to 95 to 99% of articles in PubMed when you're trying to read up on in primary literature. That is favorite website number 1. Now favorite website number 2 is Midavin. So when you're doing an intake on a client, I highly recommend looking up their medications. So there's a medication tab here, symptoms tab, results tab. So let's put in Lexapro. One thing I've learned that if I type in the whole name of the drug, it won't come up. But if I just type in a few letters and then I select the drug, that tends to work best. And then I calculate, and oops, let me go back here. We're trying to come up with the nutrient depletions. The whole purpose of Midavin is to look up nutrient depletions for drugs. And so Lexapro can deplete melatonin, folic acid, and sodium, and it gives you some of the signs and symptoms that are an example of those depletions. And it also gives you the reference. If you click on the reference, it'll bring up, oh, it's loading. It's having trouble loading it. Usually what it does, it brings up a link to the PubMed reference. I think there's a connectivity issue. Oh, there we go. Antidepressants and the risk of hyponatremia, which is very common in the elderly. SSRIs are selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, a class of antidepressants that can deplete sodium. And this is much more common in your clients over 70. There's actually a syndrome called tea and toast syndrome, which is hyponatremia, low sodium. And that can show up as falling a lot, or signs of dementia, signs of cognitive loss, poor muscle tone. Those are some signs. So this is the free version of a nutrient drug depletion site, and I really like it. So this is a good one. Now, if you have an IFM membership, that would be another way to get this information. Let me go to my IFM membership here. One second. Okay, so the other way to actually access this type of information is either with a membership. Now, this is not a free this is not free. Midavin is free. And so I know when I was first practicing, I wanted to do everything as least expensive as possible, keep my overhead low. I feel like as a nutritionist or an herbalist, you can have very low overhead because there are a lot of free resources. If you do want to pay to have access to the Natural Medicines Comprehensive Database, you can do that. It's about $250 a year. Or you can get a membership to the Institute for Functional Medicine, which is about $350 a year. And through your membership to IFM, you can get access to the Natural Medicines Comprehensive Database. I do have a membership to IFM because I like their toolkit. They have probably 1,000 handouts and educational tools for patients, meal plans, etc. And then I can also get access to the Natural Medicines Comprehensive Database, which is expensive in its own right. So it helps kind of cut the cost to do the two together. So I just wanted to show you how to access NMCD through the Institute of Functional Medicine. So the IFM toolkit's where you find all their handouts. This online resource center under member, there might be an easier way to get there. This is the way I know how to get there. And then I go to Natural Medicines Database. And that will bring that up. TRC, Natural Medicines. And the benefit of having access to this, now if you are still a student, I know MUIH has a membership. You can get into the Natural Medicines Database through MUIH. You can probably get in through University of Bridgeport and other universities that have memberships. The benefit of this one is that there are other tools such as the interaction checker or the effectiveness checker or adverse effects checker. So they do have the nutrient depletion just as Midavin does, but then they also have this interaction. If you don't have access to the Natural Medicines Database, get an herb drug interaction book or a supplement drug interaction book. Herbs and Natural Supplements by Braun and Cohen is good. Mills and Bone has a good one. And also Treasure McGee, Stargrove and McGee has a good herb drug nutrient interaction book. So any of those would be useful resources to get if you don't have access to this. The other option is Integrative Practitioner does have an herb drug interaction site. It's called integrativepro.com. And you can do their DNI checker. So I have to complete the form to use their DNI checker. I don't think their drug nutrient interaction checker is as good as the Natural Medicines Database, but it is free and open access. So this would be another option to use when you don't have access to natural medicines. So Midavin, Integrative Pro, those are two free sites. Now let's go on to another free site that I love using. I don't use it that often, but NutritionData, it's nutritiondata.self.com. I would say that one of my favorite functions here is to do some of their search functionality. I don't know another database that has this search functionality. And, let's take an example of a client who is on Coumadin and needs to limit their vitamin K, or minimize their vitamin K, and they have osteoporosis, and they're concerned they're not getting enough calcium. So you want to do a food search where you're going to minimize vitamin K. So we're going to look for foods lowest in vitamin K and foods highest in calcium. Now I'm not going to include vitamin D because we don't really get much vitamin D in our food. Get that from sunlight. So, and then I click search, and it comes up with different categories. Now there's some weird foods that will come up, like seal blubber, but we're not going to be eating that. So we have cereals, baked products, vegetables, and let's look at vegetables. I'm a vegetable lover. Again, right, some weird things like yeast extract, potato flour, pumpkin flowers. Not many of my clients eat pumpkin flowers. But then we've got mushrooms, palm hearts, bamboo shoots, sweet corn, not many green ones, turnips, love those turnips, kohlrabi. So you get the point. We see 0 micrograms of vitamin K, a few milligrams of calcium, not a huge amount of calcium, but, and then you can go to other categories too. So they have nuts and seeds, meat products, etc. This is one of my favorite uses for nutrition data, is doing these food searches. Another search I might do is, I might have nothing in highest, but maybe I want to restrict the 3 Ps for chronic kidney disease. Maybe I want to go low protein, low potassium, low phosphorus. That would be a search I might do if I had a client with chronic kidney disease, low GFR, high BUN, high creatinine, high potassium, high phosphorus. Let's say their phosphorus is normal, but their potassium's high, so we need to restrict just potassium and protein. I could do a search on those. So this is another free website, has its purpose. Let's look at this lesser known website, Dr. Duke's Phytochemical and Ethnobotanical Database. I definitely love using medicinal foods and herbs. And when I'm doing my research on phytochemicals for different conditions, such as this comes up a lot in cancer research, also in looking at different phytochemicals that modify the microbiome. So for instance, there's some good research on quercetin and the microbiome. So what you can do with this phytochemical and ethnobotanical database is search for different phytochemicals, such as quercetin. And what it will do is it'll bring up all plants that contain, now some of the data, they don't actually have any, some of the hits, they don't have any data on how many parts per million there is of the phytochemical in that particular plant. Now this is going to be a very long list. Look, there are 19 pages of plants with quercetin. Let's find a less ubiquitous phytochemical. Let's do ellagic acid. Ellagic acid is an anti-cancer chemical found in strawberries, blackberries, raspberries, that has some anti-cancer effects. This is it's still 5 pages long. Let's show all. Now I'm looking for one that actually has data. Fragaria spp. Leaf, fruit, and seed. The fruit, the leaf is the highest. What is Fragaria spp? That's strawberry. So strawberry leaf is very high. The fruit is also high. So you know, this is a good way to get to know botanical names. Junglans is a walnut. So the walnut, English walnut is high in ellagic acid. And what else is high? Let's see. Now I know black raspberry is high. What is Psidium guajava? Guava. So guava is also high, but let's look at the plant parts on that one. So the pericarp and the fruit are both high. The pericarp is like the outside of the fruit, like just under the skin. And let's come down here and see if there's anything else that has a high number. Interesting, black raspberry did not come up in the search. Guava came up, strawberry came up, walnut came up. Okay, cool. So you get the idea. A way to understand foods that are rich in various phytochemicals. It's easy to find data on vitamins and minerals. I mean, the USDA database has that information for whole foods, but there's not many resources to finding the lesser known non-essential nutrients, non-essential chemicals that we may be researching and trying to, and this could be relevant to clinical work, but it could also be relevant to presentations that you might do. Okay, my last two favorite, all of you know Chronometer, or maybe you do. Chronometer is one of my favorite dietary analysis apps, and it is an app that you can get on the smartphone. It's also a website, and it is my favorite because of the type of data we can glean from it. Spark People is another website that does micronutrient analysis. Most food tracking apps are only looking at the macros: protein, fat, carb, calories, water, fiber, some of the basics. Carb Manager is a good one if you're doing keto because it calculates net carbs. But Chronometer is one of the few that gives us micronutrient analysis. I'm actually in one of my clients' accounts right now. I don't actually pay for Chronometer. Chronometer does have a paid option, and some of my mentees and some colleagues use that because it does allow you to see your clients without them having to share their login password. I encourage my clients to choose a password that's not something they would use for their banking, so I can log in and look at their information. Sometimes they'll just take a screenshot and send it to me if they don't feel comfortable having me log into their account. The benefit of me being able to log in is I can scroll over here what they've consumed and get some percentages: 32% fat, 16% protein. I know he's aiming for 20%, but has a hard time getting there. 52% carbs. Now, Chronometer Gold would give us some targets around different body systems and where we are. So this client's a little low on fiber, only 20 grams. He's a male in his 60s. We're aiming for 30 grams, little low on iron and calcium. He is eating a dairy-free diet, so he may need some more calcium for his bones. And we can come down, it gives us amino acid data. We can look at trends. Maybe he's always low in calcium. Maybe this is just a one-day issue. Let's go back and look at another day. If there's a particular food they're eating and you want to see what's the data for that one food, you can click on that food and it will tell you what nutrients were gleaned from that one particular food. Let's go back to the day. Now, what you can also do, so again, he's low on calcium this day. What you can also do is scroll over calcium and see what foods did that client eat that day that contributed to their calcium. The wild sardines gave him close to 200 milligrams. Sesame, black bean soup. I actually think the RDA of calcium is probably too high for, to say that he needs 11 to 1200 a day, I think or 1000 a day. I think it's a little high, but regardless, this tool is very useful for analyzing this information. It's not as user-friendly as some of the other dietary analysis products. MyFitnessPal and some of the other ones have better memory. Like if you've eaten a food a lot, it'll come up when you can select it more easily. The biggest challenge people have with this is adding recipes. It is a little time consuming to add recipes, but once you've entered some favorite top 20 recipes, then it becomes easier the longer you do it. Many practitioners, when they're first starting out, will enter a client's data into this for the first visit just to get a sense of what they're eating. It's useful information that you can give back to the client and provide them input on what you've analyzed from their 3-day food diary. In order for you to enter this as a practitioner, your client does have to put down quantities, either tablespoon or cup quantity or a weight quantity. And last but not least, a favorite is LabDoor, which is a supplement ranking. And this one's free. The one that is not free that I do have a membership to is Consumer Labs. You know, these are the two main sites I know of that review supplements, not as far as their efficacy. Looking at efficacy, I would use the Natural Medicines database, where you could, the effectiveness checker there would tell you this is the research for, you know, this supplement for this condition. But as far as the quality of the supplement, does the supplement have what it says it has? Is it contaminated with lead or other heavy metals? You know, what is the labeling, you know, clear? Does it have food allergens in it, et cetera, et cetera? So LabDoor does have a good bit. These are all of the rankings that they've done. So let's take a vegan omega-3 and it'll give it a grade. You can click on any particular product like Nordic Naturals Algae Omega, got an A+, and it'll tell us how it's scored. Product purity, ingredient safety, so that's good. So we know that it's not contaminated with heavy metals or PCBs or other things that they are looking at. We can click on the full report. Let's log in with Facebook. And the label accuracy was 77%. This product measured 255 milligrams of EPA, 30.9% above the label claim. And it measured 441 servings of DHA, 13% above. So the accuracy of the dose was not good. It passed 4 heavy metal screenings, which means that their measured levels were below proposed established limits reported in California Proposition 65. So California CalProp 65 is actually a stricter rule than is used for the general, you know, than other states have. So Prop 65 is a good rule to use. It's much stricter. Now on Emerson or FullScript, you can see which supplements do not qualify for CalProp 65. Excuse me, I just need to use a tissue for a sec. And so that's good information. And they also measure peroxide. So the nutritional value, ingredient safety, projected efficacy. So, you know, it's some of this is you know, somewhat contrived by the organization and what they've deemed accurate. Now, as far as the product purity, they're only testing for heavy metals, arsenic, lead, cadmium, and mercury. They're not measuring other persistent organic pollutants, such as PCBs, which could be in algae, you know, other chemicals which could be found in algae. So LabDoor is free, and it's useful just to get to know highest ranking brands. You might have clients very concerned about taking supplements because of safety issues. And, you know, fish oil is a big one. Dark chocolate tends to be high in cadmium, so that is a good one to look at. Wow, all of these tested very poorly. So they must be, my guess is they're high in cadmium. And other ones. Now, if you do want to get a membership to Consumer Lab, it's $65 a year. I do have a membership because the there's just so many more rankings. You can see just under A, they're doing herbal rankings. They're looking at aloe, ashwagandha, apple cider vinegar. So the list is much longer on their product reviews, so you can just find more, some less common products. And we can click on one of, let's look at noni, just picking one at random. So in the review article, they do talk about dosing, research, cautions, quality concerns, references. Now, 1 second. Let's find one with a product review. So what quality concerns and what CL tested for? What CL found? Contaminants in acai berry. Caffeine does not occur normally, but it can be found in some products, some laxative ingredients, the amount of acai that was measured. So this is what they're looking at. And then usually what they have is a list of products and how it tested. Did it exceed levels of any pesticides, lead, arsenic, cadmium? And they have some approved products. This one has a warning because it contains laxatives, but it's not clear on the label. So you get the idea. Okay, so that is my review for the day. I ended up reviewing a lot more than 5. The key ones I wanted to review were Midavin, NutritionData, LabDoor, Chronometer, Dr. Duke's Phytochemical and Ethnobotanical Database, and SciHub. But we did end up talking about some paid subscriptions too. So I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, info@rebeccasnow.com. Thanks, have a great day.